Welcome to the Cryptosphere. This is Cryptogenic coming at you. Today is Saturday, May 8th at 1:40 p.m. here in sunny California. Tomorrow is Mother's Day, and so happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there, and please do something nice for your mother, for your wife, or for the motherly figure in your life. How important that is. I want to do a quick market update. I can show you kind of a few things that I'm seeing in the market. However, before we get there, I want to talk to you about something that's very important. I want to talk to you about leverage. Leverage is a scary topic. A lot of people are scared of leverage. You mention leverage and people are like, oh, that's risky. I want to stay away from that. I want to share with you why I think every crypto investor should have at least a small portion of your portfolio invested in some type of a leveraged position. Now, let me start by saying this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm telling you that this is what I do, and I think this is something that every crypto investor should strongly consider. Now, to demystify leverage, all leverage is platforms that allow you to use leverage simply give you more money to trade with than you deposit on the platform. So if you deposit $1,000 on the platform, you might be able to make $4,000 in trades. That's 4x leverage, which means they loan you $3,000 and you make a $4,000 trade. So the difference between margin and leverage, margin is the amount of money that you deposit onto the platform. Leverage is the amount of money that you borrow from the platform to make your trades. Now, this sounds risky, doesn't it? You say, I would never make a leverage trade. I've had a lot of people say, I would never make a leverage trade. That's risky. That's borrowing money. That's playing with fire. Okay. Well, let me ask you this question. Would you ever buy a house? Do you know what buying a house is? Buying a house is a 5x multi-decade leveraged trade with your entire life savings. So hear me out on this. You go to buy a house. Let's say the house costs $100,000. In the United States of America, at least, the standard is you need to put 20% down on that house. So if you put 20% down on it, you put $20,000 and you borrow $80,000. That's 5x. The price is $100,000 and you're depositing $20,000. That's your margin. The leverage that you're getting from the bank is $80,000, so that you're making a $100,000 trade, and you're getting this house. The difference is when you buy a house, you typically put your entire life savings down on that one trade, and so the liability is super high. It's your entire life savings in one investment. And number two, the maintenance is super high, which increases your liability because if the water heater goes out, you've got to replace it. If a pipe bursts under your house, you've got to get that fixed. If any type of disaster that happens to your house that's not covered by insurance, there's all these unforeseen liabilities. And thirdly, you're banking on the fact that your employment is not going to change, that you're going to be able to pay the mortgage. So you're making a multi-year, even multi-decade 500% leveraged trade with your entire life savings. I'm not saying don't buy a house. I'm simply saying if the concept of buying a house makes sense to you, utilizing leverage from the bank in order to obtain a piece of real estate that you can either live in with your family or rent out and make a profit on, if that makes sense to you, then you understand leverage. It's just a real estate loan is a leveraged position at a much higher level than you would do with crypto. So with crypto, number one, you can limit your liability by the amount of your deposit. Let's say you do a 2x leverage trade, 2x. Okay, you put in 1,000, you bet 2,000. If the asset decreases by 10% because you've doubled your investment using leverage, you've also doubled your liability. So if it decreases by 10%, you've lost 20%. If it decreases by 50%, you've lost 100%. You've lost your entire investment. You've been liquidated. A 5x leveraged trade, if it drops by 20%, you're liquidated. You've lost everything. Okay? Because 20 times 5 is 100. Now, what happens when you buy a house for $100,000, and that's a 5x leverage trade because you only put $20,000 down, and the property value drops by 20% and you sell it there? If the property value drops by 20% and you sell it there, you have lost your entire down payment. Meaning the $80,000 that you get for selling the home will pay back the bank, but you've lost your deposit. You've lost your down payment. You got to live in the home, but you walked away with nothing. And that has happened to me. Okay, that happened to me in 2011. When the whole bottom fell out of the real estate market, I learned firsthand how risky it is to make a 5x leveraged multi-year position using my entire life savings. I lost my entire life savings on that deal. But it's interesting that people have no problem doing that. Like when I lost my house, the first thing I wanted to do was buy another house. I couldn't wait to get back in the real estate. I couldn't wait to save up another life savings to dump into another house. But the idea of risking $1,000 in a crypto investment and adding some leverage to that, the idea of risking $1,000, it just feels like it's so irresponsible and it's so dangerous, and it's so dangerous. You could lose your whole $1,000. Well, if you understand real estate investing, if that makes sense to you, then leverage makes sense to you. Just doing it for crypto feels obscure to you because you've never done it before. And so, this is what we do in the Cryptogenic community. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm giving you my whole strategy here. You don't actually need to join my Patreon. I do this with my Patreon at the gold and platinum levels. The only difference with the platinum level is I do monthly one-on-one Zoom meetings with my platinum members to look at their portfolio and provide whatever support I'm able to provide. But you actually don't need me for this, okay? So, if you need the support, if you desire the support, it's great. Check out my Patreon. We do this together. But here's all we did. The first step for us was trying to find the bottom. And the bottom came in down here at about 3,000 Satoshis. And so we made finding the bottom, that was arduous. But once we found the bottom, we locked in down here. And so I think my bottom position here is 3,374. So 3,300 Satoshis. We're using Litecoin against Bitcoin as our primary asset to trade because the bandwidth is incredible. And I don't have time to explain all of that. But basically, we set positions down here. Okay. And now the goal was to get up to 53.46. That's level 1. Once we establish support at 53.46, we take profit on one of the trades from down here and then add 3 more positions to our portfolio here, and then move the stop losses from down here up here, and then set a stop loss on these trades here that we're adding so that if it crashes, we're simply locking in our profit. So if it just crashes, we'll basically take a small loss on this position, but lock in a much bigger gain on these positions up here, the ones from down here, right? And then when we get to the next level, which is, forget about this, which is 8,000 Satoshis, we'll take profit on one and we'll add 2 more positions to our portfolio. If that makes sense. Basically, we started down here with, I think, between $400 and $1,000, depending on members of my group who were with me from the beginning. And we've got like 400% to 500% profit, almost 500% profit right now where we are. It's absolutely crazy. We took profit on a couple of trades already. And we're adding more leverage here. We're using LTC BTC and we're using EOS BTC as well. So we got another buy order over here waiting. at about 15.20 to add more leverage to our position. So basically, the way we protect ourselves from liquidation, number one, we have a small liability. I ask the people who come in, and I suggest that we don't we don't start with more than $1,000, depending on how much you have total. And then number two, we use leverage responsibly. And how do you use leverage responsibly? This is something you could never do if you were trying to buy a home. You couldn't do it this way. You'd have to start out at 500% leveraged. The cool thing is here, you don't have to start out at 500% leverage. So if you were to join my Patreon today and say, how do I get started? Or if you were to just start into a leverage trade today, how do I get started? Here's what I would say. Set a buy order here at like 5,400 Satoshis for LTC BTC, but the buy order is 1x. Meaning, if you are putting in $1,000 into the platform, make a $1,000 buy order here, 1x. No leverage. And then wait for it to hit the next level, and that's where we're going to add leverage, because we're adding leverage against your unrealized profit. What that means, once you have an unrealized profit, you can set stop losses in a way, excuse me, you can set stop losses in such a way that it makes it almost impossible for you to lose money. It's dangerous in the beginning. Of course, relatively, the risk is there in the beginning because you haven't established your foundation yet. But once you have a foundation of unrealized profit, the risk almost completely goes away. And the worst case scenario is locking in some unrealized profit and starting over again. So, a lot of people ask me, is it too late? And my answer is no. Look at this junk. Like, if LTC only revisits its all-time high against Bitcoin, LTC, BTC, if we only revisit our all-time high, we still have another 785% to go. And we're going to be adding leverage, level, adding leverage again and again and again. I think it's going to go way beyond its all-time high, but we'll see. My strategy is not dependent upon, matter of fact, I set it up to where even if it only goes halfway to its all-time high, if my strategy is correct, starting with $400 or starting with $800 down here at the bottom should, the initial investment was $200. It should take you to $70,000 if we're able to execute at these levels as I prescribed. That's not a guaranteed result. That's just a projection. And honestly, I think it's a pretty conservative projection, because I'm assuming that we're only going halfway to LTC's all-time high against BTC, and I think that is way conservative. I think we're going above the all-time high. So I say all that to say, you actually don't need my Patreon, but it can be very helpful, number one, to have a coach, and number two, to have a team around you that can encourage you as you go. So, all right, that's all I'll say about that. Moving on, looking at the market, Bitcoin is doing fine. It's definitely above the 50-day EMA, but we don't have much further to go in the RSI before it hits the top here. And if that's the case, we might, maybe come to the top of, kind of revisit this area of the whole suite before it starts to dip again. And, what I'm saying is we probably will consolidate within this channel here for a while before, as Bitcoin tries to figure out what it's going to do, because we're coming down into the end of this trend here. And at a certain point, it's going to have to make a decision one way or another. Is it going to break above the trend and move towards a new all-time high? Or is it going to break down solidly beneath the trend and go into a deeper correction? We will see. But on the other hand, Litecoin is looking really good. What I'm expecting with Litecoin is a revisitation or a back test of this area here, and then a breakout above this trend heading up towards 665. So I think Litecoin is really strong. XRP, of course, is very strong as well. Looks to me like we're making a triangle here, and we're kind of bouncing around in here. At a certain point, I think pretty soon, We're going to break above this trend and head up towards this $3 mark. Looking at the RSI is strong. It just keeps bouncing, which means it's making higher lows. Yeah, I think we're going to break up above this trend at a certain point. MACDs are very bullish. Everything looks great. I hate Dogecoin, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. So this is crazy. I discovered a couple of days ago that in May of 2019, I bought $39 worth of Dogecoin and forgot about it. Just discovered it a couple of days ago. And that $39 is worth more than 10 grand now. So as much as I hate Dogecoin, I've accidentally made money on it. It was not in my Cryptogenic portfolio because I didn't even know I had it. I'm probably not going to add it to the Cryptogenic portfolio. I cannot suggest anybody buy it. However, if you do choose to buy it, the odds are you may make some money on it. I don't know if it's at its top. Just looking at these candle patterns here, it could revisit it could hit $1, and it could go beyond that. Especially if Elon Musk keeps shilling it. He's doing Saturday Night Live tonight. Who knows what that's going to do? It kind of makes me sick to my stomach, but at the same time, money is money. Dent has been consolidating nicely, and I keep saying it's getting ready to move into another wave. I'm expecting that at any time. ADA has broken above its trend, and it's found support there, it looks like. As long as it doesn't break back into the trend, what would be my next target for ADA? Let's just kind of do a quick measure the depth. That's about 64%. So if we start here from the breakout point and go up 64%, that will give me a target of $2.51. So this is my next target for Cardano. Digibyte, nothing to talk about there. It's still moving hot. Was expecting a breakout, but we've broken beneath the line. So I'm going to have to revisit that and see what's going on there. Really excited about BCD. Look at this, dog. This is crazy. Look at BCD. I had these two targets, $13.97 and $23.96. I did a video for my hodlers a couple of weeks ago saying that BCD was one of three of the best buys on the market at that time. And at that time, it was $2 and something. It was down here in this range below this line. Now we're looking at $9.96. Since I made that call, it's more than 400%, I believe, or around 400%. And it's moving strongly. There's a lot of great momentum behind it. I mean, I set these short-term targets of $3.32 and $4, and it just blasted through those targets. So I'm just going to watch it and see where it goes. I'm so excited to be in that one. All right, folks, I better stop this because I'm just rambling now, taking too much time. But listen, that's all I got for you tonight. All I want to say is, once again, happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there. Everyone, make it your aim to sleep in peace, wake in joy, walk in love. And do me a favor and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and leave me a comment to let me know. If you're interested in joining the Cryptogenic community, now's a great time to do so. We got some fresh trade alerts in the Slack channel that our gold and platinum members get access to. And those trade alerts will tell you exactly what a great buy-in level is. And I think we're going to make a lot of great profits in this market. And it's just beginning. All right, folks, have a great weekend. This is Cryptogenic signing out.